In a second. Oh. Gotta wedge these up quick. And so it's kind of nice because yesterday I had all these, I cut up a bunch, I have a bunch of clay prepped and I left it out for like 12 hours, so it's nice and stiff. So I got a lot of good stiff clay. I always think when I'm throwing, I like to throw with clay that's a little bit more stiff, just so I can get some more height. I always think it kind of helps when that clay is fighting against you a little bit. You can put a little bit more pressure on your throwing when you're pulling up the wall. You just want to make sure, usually one side, the side that's sticking up is a little bit drier than the side that's touching this little canvas sheet here, so I just want to make sure I give it a little wedge, but I'll do the rest of it as I'm throwing here. Alright, pottery shelf. Pottery shelf. There we go. Alright, camera A. Alright, here we go. Green on. We're back again. Because, good morning, chili dogs. What you focus on grows. Feed them horses. Alright guys, we got 3 more pots coming at you guys. I feel like sometimes when I make these videos, I think people think it's a static image, so it's cool to have this kind of moving. Gotta just watch out this freaking thing doesn't fall on me, dude. But anyway, you know, I'm gonna get over there in just a second, so I'll see you guys over there. Camera, or green, off. Green, off. There we go. Alright, camera C. Camera C. So it seems like it's struggling to pick up phrases today, so I gotta keep that in mind. So move this right off of there. Alright. This over. We're gonna get some of this water out of here. A bit of clay out of here. Okay. Some water. Okay, some more water. And we already got all of our things prepped here. Somebody said, what's going on? I'm doing some throwing today. Some water on this wheel. I'm gonna take this off. Ah, Gracie's back. Hello. And somebody said, cool work. Ah, thank you. Okay, so here we go with number 1. Camera B. Alright, so we're gonna push down on here. He's saying hello, hello. Something I gotta do is I gotta just make sure my head is right in the middle of my headset's right in the middle of my scalp, because sometimes if it leans to one side, it'll be all messed up, right? I got some hair in my mouth too, so hold on. Ah, come on. Somebody said, would you live a life in caves with no technology or connection to the outside world for 500 euros? Do I get free food? If I get free food, then probably. Alright. One more. I'm gonna bring this up. Camera A. Bring this down. Gotta get some more water on here too. And so this right hand is everything that this is doing is it's just keeping it under control here, alright guys? Right to the bottom. Alright, I'm gonna pull this up one more time. And then you're gonna bring your hammer fist right down on top. And so part of the reason why we're doing that, a lot of times when people are throwing, they can get this top centered, but this base is the thing that's the hardest to get centered, right? So you bring that up so it's more narrow, just so then all of a sudden you can center that bottom a little bit more, right? Because when you push this down, if that bottom's not centered, you have to overpower it, right? And so if you can't overpower it, you're kind of in some, you know, tricky territory. I'm keeping my hand here, so hold on. Camera B. So right here. Keeping it on this third, right? You see how I'm splitting it in thirds here? Keeping it on this third. Slowly put my fist right down this middle, and I slowly just bring that fist right down back towards myself. And that's what's gonna get it nice and centered right on that wheel, right? Some people are talking some stuff right now. ASMR pottery? I don't know about that. Alright, camera C. Camera C. So I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to stick my thumbs right in this middle. I always say it's kind of like a pond, and right when you put your fingers in there, right, you're going to notice that gets dry. So I fill up the pond. You can't have the tadpoles dry out. And I hook my fingers, right? And a lot of people try to push this whole chunk of clay. That's a lot of clay to push. So all you got to do actually is you got to hook your fingers and cut through that bottom layer there, right? Think of it as like a cake, right? If you cut through that bottom layer of that cake, the top two layers are going to just follow along, right? And it should feel like butter you left out, right? Again, people are asking me for the shout out thing. I still don't understand. I feel like, again, guys, I'm not that big of a YouTuber. If you want me to shout you out, wait until I get bigger, right? I feel like it's if you want me to shout you out now, it's more of just you want me to hear me say your name. So just wait a couple years, okay? All right, you're gonna grab your llama right here. Llama's gonna bite down right on this rim. I'm gonna swap over to camera B. There we go, llama bites right on this rim. And you know what llamas love, guys? Llamas love volcanoes. Let's get some volcanoes in the chat, right? I learned that there's a volcano emoji, which is kind of funny, right? And so you get your volcano. Why do you want the volcano if I'm trying to make a cylinder? Okay, well, I'll tell you why. A lot of people, when they make the cylinder, they make the base really narrow, right? But they can't, when you're pulling up, it can't handle the torque, right? So all you really have to do is go wider on the base, and every pull, you slowly bring in the base more and more. Oh, there's the volcanoes, yo. Slowly bring this up. And now we're cruising. Great. Okay, so that's number one. You always want to make sure, as soon as you lose this rim and it gets too wide, it's so hard to get it back. So always keep that rim tamed, okay? Even somebody on the Instagram sent over a volcano in the chat. That's so much fun. Alright, here we go. Again, another knuckle pull right on this bottom edge here. I slowly walk this in to find this little bump. And I just walk this up. Remember, we're not really trying to get the height right now. We're really just trying to get the walls even. So you can see how that bump slowly dissipates towards that top. We're going to go right at the base here. Slowly collar that in. And here, when you collar, I'm not doing some baby collar, right? I'm really collaring that in, right? And so look, you can see I got some height from that collar. Alright, a little bit more water on the inside here. Get some water on my elbow too, right? And sometimes people get freaked out. They're like, oh, I don't want to put my hand here, it's gonna widen up this top. Don't even worry about it, because you're gonna realign everything through this next pole here. So here you are, right underneath this bottom. You're gonna define this little bump. And again, you can see this little bump I have. And it's like a little game, you know, it's the clay gives you a quest to take this to the top. And I always imagine it's like you're lifting a baby bird up to the sky, right? At slug speed. There's a slug crawling right up the side of the pot. And there you go, right? And so now you're cruising. You got some nice height on this one, alright guys? Is there a place to buy these pieces? No, I don't sell any of my work. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we'll get 6 in there. So 1, 2, 4. And we're slowly gonna walk up this twist. Alright guys. Alright, and so I always make trees. I make 3 trees a day. And right on this top, and I slowly push this out, and that tension, that middle can't hold itself together. So there's only one way for this to go, is twist up, and there you go, you got a tree. Alright, so there we go. Again, I'm gonna push some of this clay down. And this bottom part here is stuff that people usually just get rid of, right? And I usually make the base of my pots really thin. I don't plan on trimming these. I can't even imagine trying to trim this with such an uneven top, right? And so then what I like to do is I throw the bottoms really thin. I don't even wire them off. That's how thin, because if I was to wire them off, it would rip through the bottom. But what that does is it projects more weight upwards, and so I can have more weight on this corner without them feeling too terribly heavy, right? And then this right here, the stuff that potters will cut off, right? I see potential in that, right? So here we go. And get some of the clay, or my little knife tool right here on this bottom edge. I'm gonna slowly pop this up right underneath there. Great. Okay, there I go. Pop that up, and then I gotta do one little pull with this. Alright, if I'm looking at this, this one tells me, it's telling me more tendrils rather than petals, right? So I'm gonna make some tendrils on this. I think we're gonna do a double tendril. So stop. Pull this all the way over here. Okay, and we're gonna do one more. Oh, you know, sometimes when I do these, they kind of remind me of like the Beyblade commercials, right? I'm gonna be right up here. And the key with the tendrils is you actually want to touch them as little as possible, right? And you don't really want to force them. As you're twisting it up, you really just want them to exist, right? And so there we go, we got one right there. I'm gonna bend this over on the side twice. Great. Taking this one right on this bottom edge, and again I'm gonna curl this one up right over here. And again I'm gonna bend this one. There we go. Double tendrils finished. I like doing the double tendril because it lends itself looking less like a pattern and more like appendages, like arms and stuff, right? And so there we go. So that's number 2. Well, I guess that's number 1, sorry. But I really like the way that those tendrils are looking on this one, right? Yesterday's pots were really good. I make 3 every day, so that's my thing. Somebody says tree over volcano. So funny. I like that. Alright, so then we got this one over. Alright, camera C. Camera C. There we go. So you can see the interior too. Kind of crazy. I think a lot of times potters don't really try to do anything with the interior of the pot because it just gets filled with something. Well, most pots nowadays aren't getting filled with anything. They're just sitting there, right? So why not give some intention to it, right? And so I really like the way that the interiors of those pots look. Alright. Go down to this bottom edge. Turn this just a little bit. Great. My sponge is slowly getting filled up here on my leg. Again, I get some more water right on this bottom edge. There we go. Okay, there we go. Camera B. Push this down. Here we go. Right, seal that bottom edge. And remember these 2 lanes of traffic, that push and that pull, that's when I get this really nice and centered first here. I bring that up. There we go. One more time. I bring that up. Camera A. You want to go slow on the base because that's the thing you want to get centered during these things. The base is the most important part, okay? You should switch camera views more often. It makes it more interesting. Yeah, the thing with doing that though is like when I switch camera views, right? Like watch, wheel, right? So like some of them are only in certain spots and they don't really make too much sense, right? Like watch this one, wedging table. Wedging table. See, you can see a top-down view, right? And so only some of them really make sense. You know, some of them don't really matter too much. Bring this up. Gonna get some more water on here. And really you just want to lift the clay. You're putting just a little bit of pressure and that's what's bringing that clay down, alright? And see, there's almost like a little mushroom here. You don't want that undercut, right? And so what you're doing is you're pushing this inward, so then the clay from the bottom feeds outward so you don't fold over on the water there, right? And then you push down right on this top. You get this nice and centered downwards there. Nice. Somebody asked how long I've been doing this. I've been doing this yeah, like for 4.5 years, but I've been touching clay for like 6 years, but I really didn't start trying to throw until 4.5 years ago, right? I think before that I was doing like little sculpture stuff, and then when I first started I was I was terrible at this stuff, you know what I mean? So just take some time. Alright, camera C. Alright. Pushing right down on this top. The water around this interior. And again, you want to cut right across that bottom edge there. Right, pottery shelf. There we go. So the key here is you can see it's a little bit off center, and I'm just trying to make sure this bottom is nice and established. How expensive is the camera setup? I don't really know. If I was to put a number on it, it'd be difficult just because it took me a long time to do it, right? Like, if you look at my early videos, I mean, I've posted almost every, well, no, I've posted every day this past year, right? And I started last July, so I'm almost there for a whole year every day. You can see on my oldest videos, the camera setup was just one small camera on a tripod, and then slowly as I've gotten money at all my other jobs that I work at, I've been slowly bringing new things into it, so it's hard for me to think about it. If you don't sell your pieces, how do you fund your hobby? So I fund this, and I wouldn't call it it's a hobby. It's like an obligation to, like a promise I made to myself to continue this. But how I fund it is I work at 4 different art centers, 7 days a week, and that's how I do it. I get to do pottery every single day, and then when I get home, I get to do more pottery, right? And so I teach at a lot of these places. I'll mix glazes, I'll fire kilns at some spots, so I'm really trying to make it work for myself. And I don't really make too much money, but I make enough to, you know, buy clay and feed myself. So alright, so camera B. Camera B. Alright, so here we go. The only reason I say it's not really a hobby is because, you know, I think a hobby is something that brings you joy and something that, you know, makes you happy, right? It fills your soul with good vibes, right? So like, for example, I think video games would be more of my hobby. I haven't gotten to play much video games since I started doing this every day, but that's my hobby. Like ceramics right now is kind of like its own little it's the thing that calluses my mind, right? Like I don't like waking up and having to record and then having to go upstairs and edit all the footage for the rest of the night. Like you have to get rid of a lot of your social life for it, right? And so I don't like doing this at all, really, you know. But like I said, it's an obligation to myself I made, so I'm gonna keep on doing it until I win. Again, find a little bump and bring that all the way to the top. Oh, I need to get another sponge over here, else it's gonna start leaking everywhere. So annoying. Okay, why not work a regular job? This is not easy. Well, you know, I think for me, you know, I probably could work at Lowe's, but I literally just want to be the best at throwing one day, right? That's like my goal. So why I work at all those different art centers, right? Is just because I want to have my hands on clay as much as possible every single day. So if I was sitting and I had to, like, you know, I used to be a fry cook, you know, if I just sat and I cooked chicken all day, right? Like, you know, I'd just be thinking about how I'm not getting better at this, right? But if I teach people and if I have to go mix clay or mix a few new glazes or fire some kilns and load it, you know, at least I feel like I'm making at least a little baby step in the same field of where my goals reside, right? Why did you make sure to put plastic sheet on the floor? Not a plastic sheet, a sponge. Just because there's water leaking from my wheel here. Alright, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. Okay. Get some more water on this. I'm making a tree. Be careful here. Get a little bit wobbly on the top. You know, this one's a little bit more basic of a tree, right? So I think I got to do something crazy on the bottom here. Maybe I'll do a petal, right? So got a little bit too thin on that top, right? So I should have probably colored that in one more time. Is there truly... Oh, John, I remember you. You need to recalibrate your voice command so you don't have to repeat the instruction every time. Yeah, I think the thing is if I talk before I say the phrase, then it counts it as a whole single phrase. So I think that's one of the problems. Is there truly any uniqueness to this cylindrical clay shape that you make every time you throw clay? Let's think about it. Like when I'm just throwing, or each one of the trees? Like if I'm just throwing, I think both, right? The uniqueness comes with the the little small moments, right? Just like in life, I always think that for me, during my lifetime, it was never the big events that really stick out to me, right? I always seem to remember more of the small little things, right? And so at the bottom of a pot, right, it seems like every single chunk is a puzzle that you kind of have to figure out what it's going to become, right? And so it's these small little moments that I think are the most important. And that's what makes it kind of unique, right? But I think to somebody who doesn't make it, right, it's hard to feel that or understand it just by looking at it, right? But I'm sure there's other things in life, right? Like think about, I'm assuming if you're watching this, right, you're probably like like at least you're familiar with video games on YouTube. So I'd assume that maybe you play video games, right? And so imagine like a build in a video game, right? Like sometimes the difference between you winning and losing is one small, where you place that skill point, right? In a game. And so that's kind of the same thing. Sometimes one small movement, right? There's an anxiety to throwing with clay that I think a lot of people try to mitigate, right? Through using steps and processes, right? And I think that's the fun part, is like kind of being excited about that anxiety of throwing, right? A little bit too fast. And living in that spot, right? It looks like a Roblox tree. Maybe I should teach this too. No, so for me, I don't really classify myself as a potter necessarily. When I teach at all these places, I teach just like kind of normal pottery stuff, right? Like I mean, the type of people who are taking a pottery class are not going to want to learn how to make random trees. They want to make like cups for their grandma, right? And so sometimes it's difficult. I got to make sure I tame my own goals and aspirations with the material. And sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating because, you know, you want to make something a certain way, but you have a lot of people who are coming from a different understanding of the material. Give me a moment, guys, to read through the chat here. You guys are popping off there, you know. I'll curl this up. Okay, bring these in. I think this one looks actually kind of cool with all the tendrils on the bottom. Alright, spin the plate maximum velocity speed. No, I think that's actually the problem that most people have, is they're spinning their wheel way too fast, right? You should make it so the top falls down a bit. Yeah, this one's tipping down just a little bit on one side. You should make it so your cameras work with moans instead. Alright, thank you, Fragment. I subscribed. I'm your 10th like. Thank you so much. What is throwing your end goal? Like javelin throw? My end goal for throwing. Alright, camera C. Camera C. My end goal for the throwing here is actually that there is no goal, right? I think sometimes a lot of people get blinded by the goal, where they don't really understand that the sweet spot is actually that in-between phase, right? The hardest part is to start, and the second hardest part is to get to that finish line, or to finish something. And so if I kind of am just stuck in this perpetual state of always grasping for something new, I think I'm going to find things along the way that are really important, just by processing and moving through life in this way, right? So that's kind of my end goal, is to just keep on doing this, right? No matter what. Do you only make trees? Also, you have an Instagram live going right now? Yeah, so my Instagram, I'm live streaming to both right now. Just because some people on the Instagram, you know, it's a different type of crowd on Instagram than it is on YouTube, and so I try to do both at the same time. I have both things up, but a lot less people show up on my Instagram, but I still think it's important to do it. Yeah, and I only make the trees for right now, just because if I told myself I'm gonna make 3 trees every single day for a year. It was a promise I made to myself, you know, in July of last year, so I'm gonna do that, and I'm doing pretty good on it. If you say a bad word or a good word into the clay to throw in, it does that word stay inside the clay forever? I have an idea about that. I call it charged objects, but it's more about objects having some sense of an event or a moment attached to them, right? It's a lot about gifting and how people receive and use objects, right? A lot of people just make cups to make cups, but if you make a cup because, somebody at their local coffee shops made you coffee for the last year and you wanted to momentalize that moment, that's what I call it, momentalizing the moment and giving them a cup, it can be a very beautiful object that now holds a whole entire memory and a story within it. So that's how you charge objects. I'm back. You probably don't remember me, but hi. Hello. You're right. I do not remember you. Were you in a recent one? Sometimes there's a lot of people on my YouTube, so it's hard for me to get everybody's names down. I'm sure the more and more I see you guys, the more I'll remember. But yeah. Camera A. Could you make the tree veins more horizontal? Yeah, I think you have to go wider though to do something like that. Right now I have the clay prepped for height. I think height is hard. I think I remember you were here 2 days ago, I think, in the Instagram, right? Have you ever brought a girl back to your studio and sat behind her on the wheel and put your hands over her while you were behind her? No. I think if any girl saw my apartment, they would run for the hills just because it's a complete mess. I see more as a philosophical end goal. Thanks for the replies. Yeah, because for me, I think like everything we do, at least everything I do, I structure it as what it does for my mentality, right? Like today, I didn't have to go into this one place that I work at today, but I know that some students are waiting for things to be unloaded, and I'm not going to get paid for unloading this kiln, but I know that some of my students really care about those objects, so I'll go in there and I'll, drop a few hours, unload and load a kiln, just because it's important for, people to get their stuff, right? I like to show care, right? So that's another thing for what is that doing to my mentality? That's making it doing something that I should be, going to get paid for, but I'm doing it anyway because it's, the right thing to do. Right? And so I always think about stuff like that. I think it's really important to test your mind like that, right? If you're only chasing the bag 24/7, right? You're not feeding another part of your mind that needs something more than just the bag, right? Thank you so much. Yeah, sometimes it's really hard for me to get to my the comments on my shorts and on my videos. I see some of them though, just know I spend a lot of time, editing and doing a lot of this stuff, and I'm not going to respond to somebody if I don't have the time to really consider the things that they're saying, right? But yeah. Why do people always bring up Ghost? I think it's just a very trendy pottery thing. I think there's a couple of really popular potters who kind of make a meme out of it to get clicks on their videos and stuff. And so I think that it's trending for people who are not really in the field, and it's trending for people who are in the field, right? And so I think that it's one of those things where it's just associated with everything now. But that's fine, I think it's a clickbait thing, people will do the ghost thing just for clicks. Are you making another? Yep, this is the third one of the day, right? Like I said, I do 3 every day. I'm bringing this up. It was an iconic moment in the movie. Yeah, but the movie isn't about pottery. That's the thing, right? And that lady, I always say that lady definitely did not need help. She was coning up the clay all the way from the top, and it was fine. I think it's just one of those things where like people associate it with some like sexual thing, and so people always seem to gravitate towards that stuff, right? But you know, sometimes not everything needs to be like that, right? I think that's the hardest thing with pottery right now in the pottery community. Like, go on Instagram and type in #pottery. You'll see a lot of the same similar things. And so what I think is important is for everybody to find their own voice rather than to defer to what the constant is, right? Somebody's asked me where I live. Bro, I'm Ohio, baby. I had to get off, but I'm back. Cool. I'm glad you're back, yo. I feel like you've came to a couple of the my streams already. So thank you for that. Like I said, the most valuable thing somebody has is their time. And the fact that you guys are here just watching is so meaningful to me. So thank you. There's one. I still have a bunch of thickness on that bottom, so hold on, let's get over there. How do you remember who comes to the stream? It depends. Some people have really simple names and some people have difficult names, right? But if I see somebody and they had a comment, like usually people who ask me, usually people ask me about like things pottery related, sometimes I'll remember. Oh yeah, you asked me if I stream at a set time last time, I think, maybe, or maybe it was somebody else, but no, it's whenever I have available time. Usually on this day, I actually don't get home, I start work at 9, and I usually don't get back home from work because I start working at one place and I have to drive to another place, but I work, all the way through the day until, 9:30, and it takes me a little bit to clean up, and I don't get home usually until like 10:30. And so usually on Wednesdays I'm actually don't stream unless it's really early in the morning, but then I stream really, really late at night. But my Wednesdays are actually the most difficult, but today it's in between the spring and the summer semester, so I didn't really have to go in today, but I still went to do the unloading like I said. So not a set time. Alright. Makes the voice activated setup myself. I'm a gamer, so I found some stuff that works really well. What time is it for me? It's 1:30 in the morning? What the heck? It's about 6 o'clock here, right? I'm a little bit too crazy on this one. Alright, camera B. Camera B. But no, I'm a gamer, right? So a lot of gamers use voice commands for like keybinds and games, and so I got one of those things, and I'm streaming from like a cheap budget computer I made, and so that's what I use. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. And so this is gonna twist up really nice here. And so you can already see the twist forming here. And so the goal actually Sorry about that, guys. This is why I have another camera, or another microphone. Sometimes, everything that's battery operated, I usually try to get 2 of them just in case. I saw you making these yesterday. Well, that's because I make them every day. Camera A. Oh, this one right here. The ones yesterday were crazy though. Yesterday was a really good moment for them. Just right on this top edge here. Put that right under. Where's this at here? It's gonna fall over, so we don't want that. But we kind of want this a little bit in this middle part. So we'll have that right there. I think that looks nice. All right. We're gonna get over here. Turn that on. Green on. Hey guys, it's nice to see you again. We got 3 more pots, time to review. We got this one over here. Somebody asked me to do one with a twist a little bit more horizontal, right? And so when you walk up that twist, it becomes really tight and gives it that really nice tree-like contrast. Really having that be the trunk, the veins becoming the trunk of that tree. I think I did a nice idea with doing the petals on the bottom and having that thing on the top, so it really has that nice wide, narrow, wide atmosphere on that pot, right? A good silhouette. This one I think is a little bit, it's interesting, but I think it's not as good as the one that we did yesterday. But again, it's a double tendril. I've been doing this thing recently where I fold over these little tendrils to become like a little squiggle on the side. And I think they add a little bit of more emotion on there, compress that top, maybe to bring some more lines there so your eye gravitates towards those little edges of the tendrils, or the tips of the tendrils there. And then the one on the top is the most basic one of the day, but I think since it was the most basic, I really got to allow the tendrils to become more of a pattern, and so I really let the tendrils go crazy on that one. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. All the best, and strong mentality. Somebody asked, do I sell these or are they just flooding your floor? I just flood the floor with them. You should add labels to the stands to make it easy for people to say which one is their favorite. Ah, that's actually a good idea. I might have to do something like that. I'd have to, maybe I'd 3D print them or something. I don't really know. Somebody said, bye, I'll see you around. Not sure between top and left. Top and left. Left is that one. Oh yeah, left is really cool, but you also like the top one. Cool, that's interesting. The tendrils on the right are awesome. Yeah, I really do like the tendrils on the right. The middle is really nice, but the bottom right feels nice for its imperfections. The bottom right, yeah. So the bottom right one, yeah, you know what? I really like that it's tilting a little bit, actually. I really like some of those ones. Sticky notes with A, B, and C would work for labels. The only thing with that is, I wonder, what I think I'll do? They're usually in the same frame, so I think what I gotta start doing is I'm just gonna have an image so that I can just say numbers, and then it will pop up with numbers over top or right underneath of where they would go, right? And so I think that's kind of I think I'll do something like that, just because the sticky notes thing, I'd have to write them out, and then they'd get so full of clay. So I think just having them digitally show up would probably be a little bit better. But I'll have to do that one of these days. All right, well anyway guys, I'm gonna head out here. I gotta go edit all this stuff, so yeah. Alrighty. Oh yeah.
computer. I'll see you guys in the next one.